Okay, folks, welcome to another Java session. So the last day we were doing about copy. Okay, so today we are going to do more on copy. I'm going to finish off this section of this lesson. Okay, so the last videos I have done, I just want to check here. Just having a check. So what was my last video? My last video will be 9.2f. All right. So this one, this is going to be 9 A B C D E F G. So this video is going to be 9.2G. Okay. Yeah. So it's down here, and so you can have a look at me. There I be. Okay, so there again. So now that looks okay. Not too much of a glare out the back. Okay, so we're just doing a couple of methods of the path class. Okay, so the one we do here is copy. All right, so we start off with an original. Okay, so copy, there's a couple of overloaded copy methods. Just hold on a minute, I'm too hot here. So as I said, there's a couple of overloaded copy methods. All right, so the first one takes, so files.copy is the method, okay? The first one quite simply takes a source path and a path you want to copy to. Now, the thing about copy is it only copies that guy, okay? So, so here we have this original path. Original path here is original, country, county, and town. Okay, now if I have a look at my C drive, do I have that directory structure? So I'll go to here. So it is I'll get rid of that guy because I ran it before. So this is the country folder inside the original folder. Then we have county, then we have town. Okay, then I have parish, then I have mytown.txt because I've been messing around with it. All right, now if I go like this, so the original source path is this folder. Okay, original country, county, town. All right, now, and this is where I'm going to copy it to. Now, what it'll only copy that folder. Now, it won't copy anything inside the folder. It'll only copy the town folder. All right, so it won't copy anything inside that folder. Also, it won't copy county. It won't copy country, to prove that it does. So I'm going to run this code. So this ex4. So this is what it looks like now. I run my code. Okay, go here. We see we have a folder called copy town. Now you can see it's a copy just of this folder. Now it's not so, but look on it, nothing inside it. All right, so this copy method, so we can see what folders are copied. Went to country, went to county, went to town. Now it's copied that folder, but all it does is just copies the folder. All right, now if it was a file, it would just copy the file. For instance, we're going to do this again. So I'm going to go to town, and inside town, I have a file called mytown.txt. Okay, and I'm just going to put in a bit of text in it. This is the file mytown.txt. Okay. All right. So we've done, so I am going to create a source path. Okay, so I'm going to say source is equal to path.get. So it's going to be all of this. So town, and inside town, I have a file called mytown.txt. Okay, so this is the file we're going to copy. Let's put in here. Okay, now where are we going to copy it to? Copy is equal to paths.get. Now we're going to put it in the original. So we're going to put it in here. Okay. Now we're going to call it mytown copy.txt. All right. Now, so just going to do a slight variation of this. So if the file doesn't exist, copy them. Okay. Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to do it slightly different. Same principle though. So we can go if files dot exists. So we want to find out if this path exists. Okay, want to find out if this path exists, we say copy. So if it exists, what we're going to do is we're going to delete it. So we're going to go files, delete, copy. So what's that doing? So if this file exists, so I have to put it in here as well, catch exception. Okay, so this file here. Right. So if it exists, delete the copy. Okay, delete that guy. So if it exists, it's going to delete it. So that means if it's deleted, we want to create it. So then we go files.copy, we go source, and then we go copy. No, that's not the coronavirus. Okay, I have this for the last 4 months. All right. Now, so I ran the code. All right. So if I go into here, so this is the file we want to copy. Go back to original. We can see my copy.txt. Okay, this is my file town.txt. Now notice the way it doesn't copy the full directory structure. Okay, this only copies the file mytown.txt. It does not copy country, folder, county, folder, town, folder. Okay, so if we're using copy to copy directory, all it does is copy an empty directory, which really isn't much use at all. Now, when you're copying a file, it will copy the file, but it won't copy any of the folders leading up to the file. All right, so here we go, if files exists, files copy.source. So if it doesn't exist, copy it. This guy here said, if it does exist, delete the copy and copy the new one. Both of those ways are just variations doing the same thing. Okay, so if it doesn't exist, copy them. If it does exist, we don't copy them. This one here, if the copy exists, delete it and then create a new copy. Either way is fine. That one's probably more a bit useful. All right. Well, actually, no. If you want to if there's copies already there, you don't want to save it. This one here, if the copy exists, this is going to create a new copy. All right, so if you've modified, so maybe that one's better, maybe, okay? All right, now, let's say we have here, so I'll go here. So remember we have symbolic links. So now symbolic link, it is myfile.txt. When I click on symbolic link, what that does is that is a link to myfile.txt. Okay, so if I click on it, bring me directly onto there. If I open this file, it's going to bring me to here. Now, if I copy this file, all right, if you copy this file, it doesn't copy this file. It copies what it's linked to. All right, so I'll put that in here. If you copy a symbolic link, by default, it will copy the file the link points to, and not the symbolic link file itself. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So we're going to create another new path. So we're going to call this symbolic sim source is equal to paths.get, and we want to get, it is C original. Okay, C original, and we're going to go here, and it is, I'm going to get this right. So it is, in my case, SYMLINK underscore my file.txt. Okay. Now, so that's going to be what we're attempting to copy. And then we're going to go path, and we're going to say sim copy is equal to paths.get. So we are going to now we are going to call our copied file. We're going to call this copied symlink myfile.txt. Now, what's actually copied there is not this file. Okay, it's the file it's linked to. The file it's linked to is myfile.txt. This is myfile.txt. All right, so I'm going to go here. If sorry, put a try catch block. Oh, exception. E. Okay, so if files.exists, I'm going to say if sim copy exists. If sim copy, if that exists, if it exists, we're going to go files.delete sim copy. Then we're going to go files.copy sim source sim.
No, what it takes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, right here. Okay, so if file exists, sim copy files, delete sim copy. So if they exist, it's going to delete this guy and it's going to create a new copy. All right. Now we're going to see what happens when we do this. All right. So I have my code over here. I have my folder open over here. So I'll bring it across here. All right. So this is the original file. This is going to be the copy. So I run this. I'm just going to say here as well. Okay, sorry, I need to put this down here. If files exist, just need to stop this a minute here. I was doing something here, so just give it with me a second. About that. So if it exists, we delete it. All right. Then we go files.copy sim source sim copy. Right. So I'm going to run this file. Now we can see here. There it is, copied sim link. Now it's actually a copy of this guy. This is my file.txt. It's not a copy of the, remember that this is a, what do I call them again? Create at the very top here. Symbolic link. Okay, so symbolic link. This is a symbolic link, which is a shortcut. Right now, when you use copy with the symbolic link, the default is it doesn't copy the actual symbolic link, it copies the file it's linked to. All right, so when I copy this file using this copy, what it actually does is it copies the file it's linked to. Now, if you don't want it to copy the file it's linked to, if we want to copy the I'll say it just, if we want to just copy the actual linked or the symbolic link file. All right. Now, what you can do is this. You can go files. So I'm going to create a new copied file. So I'm going to call this path. I'm going to call it symbolic copy. Okay. Is equal to paths.get. So I'm going to go here. This is going to be C original, and I'm going to say symbolic copy, same link. All right, now, so original symbolic link copy is symlink.txt. All right, so now we're going to do something slightly different with the copy. All right, so I'm going to copy all of this. I'm going to change this. Now, so if file exists, symbolic copy, and here, right. Now, here, files.copy has one overloaded method that takes two arguments. One, the source path, the second argument is going to be the copied path. All right. Now, there is a further one. Okay. This one is called link. Now, I don't know if this will actually work on this machine, but we'll see anyway. So no follow links. Okay. Now, what this actually does is this creates a copy of this file. Okay. So this creates a copy of symlink myfile.txt, and this will be called symbolic copy is symlink. I know the names are terrible, but okay. So what is this doing? Is this guy here. So link option. Now the default link option, there is a default, is, let me just show you here, there's different options. So link option dot. Okay, so it doesn't give you the, all right. The default option is it follows the links. Now we can set it to no follow links, which means it should copy that file, not the file it's linked to, which is myfile.txt. Now let's have a look, see, does this work? So I'll just print in something here. Check it out. Okay, file already exists. Okay, hold on a minute here now. So I need to pause this again. Okay, sorry about that. So this is what we're copying. This is what we're copying to. And we said we don't want to follow the links. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to create an actual copy of this file. All right? It won't be a copy of myfile.txt. So let's just have a look to see, does that work? Okay, right. Now, that's fine. Now, a required privilege is not held by the client. Now, there is some setup. This does work, right? This does work, but there's some privilege I don't have on this machine. I can't remember where it is, all right? Now, this does work, but some of you can Google it to see what privileges I need to get. So it does work. For you to be able to use this guy here, you need certain privileges. And I'll have a look it up and see what it is, and I will come back to this. But this does work, okay? So if you copy a symbolic link, by default, it will copy the file the symbolic link points to. And that's so. So this copied file will be a copy of the file myfile.txt, as this is the file that is linked to the symbolic file sim link my file txt. Okay, so this copy file will be a copied file my file as this is the file that's linked to the symbolic link to the symbolic file symlink myfile.txt. Okay, here. This will copy the actual linked symbolic link file sim link my file.txt. Copy the actual symbolic link file sim link my file.txt, and not the file it is in, and not the file it is linked to. Okay, no follow links. Okay, this will copy the actual symbolic link file, symlink my file, and not the file it is linked to. No file or links means that whatever path method you are using will operate on the symbolic, on the actual symbolic link file, not the file it's linked to. Okay, so this machine does not have the correct privileges to run code that has optional follow links. The correct privilege to run the code is link option, so this will not. So we'll compile. This will compile. This will compile, but generate file system. Okay. This. Right. So if you want to copy the actual link rather than copy the actual file it's linked to, you go link option dot no follow links. Okay. But I can't run it. Okay. They don't have the correct privileges. All right. Now, there's a couple of other options you can put in here as well, and none of them work. All right, because I don't have the correct privileges. Another one would be, so let's say I'm trying to do all these things with symbolic copy. Okay. So you could also do this one. So we can go files dot copy, and I'm going to say sim source, and I'm going to say symbolic copy. And we can go, these are just a couple of different options. There's a thing called std copy option dot replace existing. Okay, now I think that also won't work. Oh, that does work. All right, let's see, did that actually work? Let's have a look at that. Okay, that does work. Symbolic copy, same link. There it is. Okay, now this guy here, now, instead of using files exist symbolic copy, files delete, or if files does not exist, then copy it, all right? This guy here, what this guy does is we can use this instead of an if statement. Okay, now this will create a copy to the file that the symbolic link file. This will create a copy to the file that the symbolic link file linked to. Okay. Now the file myfile.txt, and will replace a copied file if a file of that name already this. Okay, now it is symbolic copy symlink. There it is, symbolic copy symlink. Okay, so this will replace file, this guy. Replace the file if it already exists. Okay, this will replace the file symbolic copy symlink.txt if it already exists. All right, but remember, this is a copy of the file myfile.txt. Okay. Now, as we come onto database, all right, we're going to need something. We're going to be coming across something called metadata. Now, metadata is details about a file, such as when it was last accessed, when it was created, when it was, how big the file is. Okay, so metadata is details about the file. Okay, so we are going to go files.copy. First two are going to be the same. Okay, and I'm going to create a new path. I'm going to call it meta is equal to path.get, and it's going to be C original and this is going to be called meta mytext.txt, isn't it? myfile.txt. myfile.txt. Okay. All right. Now let me just see. So we go standard option copy attributes. Now let me just see if I run that. Run it once. Run this just once. Okay, file already links, symbolic copy symlink. Okay, so okay, sorry about that. Now, so this will replace existing. All right, now it won't copy the symbolic link, it'll copy the file it's linked to. Okay, now meta. So see meta myfile.txt. Files copy source. Source is going to be this guy. See original myfile.txt. The path is going to be called, that is going to be sent, is going to be called meta. Now you can have as many of these guys at the end of it as you want. Right? You can have standard copy option. You can have replace existing. So if the meta file already exists, it's going to delete it. Okay. Then this is copy attributes. Now this is for copying metadata of your file. All right. Now metadata is details about the file. Now this doesn't actually work here. All right. Now, so this in theory is for copying metadata. All right. What's metadata? Metadata is details about a file. Okay. Such as when created, when accessed, file size, type, etc. So any information about the file is called metadata. All right. Now, this doesn't actually work. All right. There's one or two other steps you have to do to actually create. Well, you'd have to define a format and all sorts of other shit. Okay. But that's the principle of it. Right. You can have as many of these additional arguments as you want. So standard copy option, replace existing. That's instead of an if statement. Standard copy option, copy attributes. Okay. So let me just say. So copy attributes to a new file. This is for technically copying metadata to a new file. Now, it doesn't really work here. You'd have to do additional steps to get it to work. All right. Now, you could also try and do something like this. Put in this guy at the end. All right. Now, I don't have the correct privileges to do that. So if this was a linked file, this would copy the symbolic link, not the file it's linked to. How come it's not giving me an error there? Oh yeah, because it's not actually a linked file. Okay, if I change that to sim source, that gives that. All right, because that is actually, now just put them all on separate lines. That guy, that guy, and that guy. All right, so you can have as many additional arguments as you want. All right, you can have many additional attributes as you want. I think. Actually, I'm fairly certain that you can, right? So these things are called standard copy option. So you can have this instead of, so you can have this instead of an if statement. Okay. This will copy metadata. Doesn't actually do it in this case. Now, I'm presuming, actually, we will be doing that when we come to the databases. We will be copying the metadata when we come to databases. All right, you'll be seeing, you'll be getting various details, who last accessed the database, when it was accessed, what level of, what level are they at? Are they administrators, or are they just someone who can do data entry, or are they just someone who can view the database? Okay, so it's easier to do it in databases than it is to do with files, as far as I can remember, right? All right, so this will copy that, but does not do it in this case. All right, this guy here, if it's a linked file, copy symbolic link, not the file it's linked to. Okay. Now, this one, source meta, works fine. Okay. I can even see my, now this creates this thing. Now, to create it, to actually create a metadata file, you would have to pass in another argument, as far as I can remember, that would basically write to your file, and it'll write all the details you want. You can write as much details or as little details as you want. You can write who last accessed it, when it was accessed, when it was last saved, when it was created, the size of the file. There's around 20 or 30 different fields. So it's a separate method that you would have to get this to display all the metadata of the file. Now, you can view metadata for any file on your own machine. Of course, you do it anytime you turn on a machine. So myfile.txt properties, that's metadata. Okay, so the type of file is the txt file. It's 18 bytes. It was created on the 2nd of April 2020. I modified it 22 minutes past 1 on the 2nd of April. And it accessed on the 2nd of April, 2020. Now, I think, okay, let me just see now. Now I'll try that again. Properties. Okay. Right, so it doesn't actually show you when it was actually fully accessed on Word. Okay. Date modified. 2nd of the 4th, 2020, 3022. Okay. So I don't know why the metadata here is not showing up when I last accessed it. I'm not sure actually why it's doing that. All right. That's an example of metadata. Right now, so you can display all of those details in Java as well. Now it's an additional, I think as far as I can remember, it is, I don't think it's one of these guys. I think it's an additional method that you have to put this file through. I can't remember what it is. And you basically can say what fields you want to display. Okay. Now, I know we definitely do it when we come to databases. We don't do it here. I'll have a look. Okay. I'll have a look, see, when I'm trying to get no follow links. All right. Now, so that is the basic copy. And when you're copying symbolic links, you're copying the file that's linked to. If you want to copy the symbolic link, what you need to use is that guy. SymSource symbolic link, link option, .no follow link. That will copy the symbolic link, not the file the symbolic link is linked to. Okay, I don't have the correct privileges on it. I will find out to get the correct privileges on it. All right. Now, you can also do these things called standard options. You can put in as many as you want. Okay, this one here is replace existing. We can use it instead of an if statement. Copy attributes that will have a that will create a metadata file. Okay, it doesn't do it in this case. All it does is just copies the name of the file. Link option, no follow links. All right. So what that does, if the link file, copy the symbolic link, not the file it's linked to. I don't have the correct privileges for this, so it won't work for me. Okay. Now this is not a linked file. This is not a symbolic link file. This is just an ordinary text file. So this does not generate a. So let's show what I mean. SymSource, wasn't it? SYM, capital S. File system exception. Okay. So let's go back to here. Source. That will work fine. Okay. So rather than using an if statement, you can use that guy instead. Standard copy option, replace existing. All right. It's probably easier to do that than that. Okay. So next one we're going to go to is static void ex5. Okay, so these, what these are, two more overloaded copy methods. I'm going to have to pause this for a second. Okay, sorry about that. Now, so what are these ones? These are two more overloaded copy methods that take, so one takes a source input stream and a target path. Another takes a source path and a output. Okay, so you have two copy methods. One copy method that takes a input stream and a target path. Another one that takes a source path and a target output stream object. Okay, so I'm going to go here, try. This is going to be try with resources. And we're just going to catch an exception this time. We'll do one at a time. So do the first one here. So this is going to be the first copy method. This is input stream. IS. Geez, that's enough name, so forget. File input stream. So we're going to copy my file.txt. So it's going to be C original my file.txt. Okay. So inside here, so we are going to go files. File input stream. So hold on a minute now. So we are going to go. I'm going to create a path inside here. Path. Call it target is equal to path dot get equal to paths dot get and that's fine. So it's equal to paths dot get. So we're going to create a copy of this file, and I'm going to call this C original ex5 copy .txt. Okay, so now, so we're going to take an input stream and a target path. So we are going to go files.copy. Now, so this takes the right one, IS, that's what's going to be copied. Target. Okay, so I just run this once, and I didn't bother putting in this statement. This one's EX5. Okay, right, so I have a look at my original folder again. Here it is. So EX5 copy, there it is. Fine, funky donkey. Now, if I run this again, oops, shit, sorry. All right, if I attempt to run this again, this is going to generate a file already exists exception. Now, this overloaded copy method, right? If you attempt to run it a second time, you'll get a file already exists exception. So what you can do is target. Now, I think you can do this. So if I go this. All right, that should get rid of that exception. Yeah, okay. So if this file already exists, this will generate a, so just the name of the exception again, take this out for a second. we generate a file ready this exception. Okay. Generate. So we could put in a if statement. However, instead, we will put in a standard copy option. We put in the standard copy option argument. Will replace the file if it already exists. Okay. So what will that do? That will replace any existing file. Okay. Now, the other type of, so that is the first one. Then we have a, this is output stream. And I'm going to call it out is equal to new file output stream. And this is going to be C. So this is going to be the file we're copying out. Okay, so we're going to call this as original. And it's going to be original, so this is going to be ex5 copy 2.txt. Okay, it's not a comma you put at the end of each one. Okay, so this is going to, so what is this argument here? The first argument here. So this is a try with resources. So this one is going to be the source path for first copy method. And this is going to be target source path for second. Okay. So if I go files dot copy, and this is going to be, we're going to say the original file is, where is it? Hold on a second there now. I'm going to say paths.get this guy. That's what we're going to copy. And it's going to copy it to out, which is that guy there. Okay. Now I run it once. So ex5 copy 2. So we have it here, ex5 copy 2. Run it a second time. Okay, now I'm not too sure why that's the case, all right? But this guy does not generate a file already exists exception. I'm not too sure why that's the case, okay? As I say, this does not generate a file already exists exception. This does not generate a file already exists exception, even if the file already exists. Like the method that takes a input stream, and a path. Yeah, I don't know why that's the case, but it doesn't. All right. Now, creates copies of the files, so that's fine. Okay, it just works. Funky donkey. All right. Now, there's a couple of more methods to show you here. Okay. Just going to pause this for a second. Okay, so we're showing you a copy. All right. Now, next thing we're going to do is something called move. Now, you can use move to do what you think it does. It moves from one place to another place. Okay. So, first of all, I am going to create a file inside here, and I'm going to call it new text file. Oops. New file, and I'm going to call this names.txt. I'll put in my name. Harry. All right. Okay. So a couple of names inside it. And just as well to say that this is names.txt. Okay, great. Whoop-de-doo. Bully for it, as well say. All right, so first one is this method we're going to use is, so this is tagged by the x6. And this is move. Now, what does move do? So, move does exactly as it says. This move files to another directory. This can move files to another directory. Okay. And can move right, so it can move files to another directory. That's what we'll start off with. All right. Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to move names.txt into the folder 1. Okay. Now, from previous examples, we have created a folder called 1, and it's inside, in my case, 9.2 interacting with files B. Okay. So now, just like before, you can have either relative paths or absolute paths. Okay. So this is going to be the absolute path. So we're going to go files.move. Okay, so it takes two options. Okay, now I'm not going to, you can also use the third options, but that just makes things complicated. So the source is going to be paths.get names.txt. Okay, now the target is where you want to move it to. So it's going to be paths.get. Now it's going to be relative. So it's going to be in the one folder, names2.txt. So I can go there and I can say, let me just see, does this work? It should work. Standard replace existing. Let me see, does that work? I don't know if it will work. No, it doesn't work. Okay, maybe it will actually. Paths.get, you probably can't use standard copy. Let me just see. Second bracket. Okay. Probably won't be able to. Standard copy option. Okay, you can't use standard copy option inside the get. All right. So hold on a minute. So take out this guy. So let me just see what have I done here. Okay, this should work. Let's try this again. Oh yeah, sorry, it has to be around the try catch block. So try. Stupid, no, stupid, stupid, stupid. So we go. Try this in here. Now that should be hunky dunky. Yeah. Now I still don't think this should work. So if I go standard copy option, I don't think that's going to work. Let's try it, put it in a certain. Oh fuck yeah! And in a certain it won't work. So put this in here and here. It does work. Let me just see now. Does that work? Okay, so try blah 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 blah. So all right, so let's have a look inside one. I need to refresh it. It's not inside one. Balls. Okay, I'll try that again. So just see. I'm going to refresh it. It's not there for some reason or another. Okay. So let's go to this folder. Let's just have a look, see. This guy here. We are. So names.txt. It's not inside there. Balls. Okay. So that moves. It's not working correctly. So the question is why it isn't working correctly. Let me just see. I'll try and save it to see original. Okay, now let's see, does that work? Okay, see original, and we go 2.txt. Let's just see, did that work? I don't think it has. So original, no. Now if I take off the name, see, does that work? Let me just have a look here. Original, no. So this is not moving. So that's another one to come back to. Okay. So I'm going to come now. So here's the thing. It can be used to rename things. Okay. That doesn't work. So if I go files dot move and paths dot get, this is going to be the path 1. And we're going to rename it. If I go paths dot get, sorry. I go paths.get and I put it, the name, the rename thing is 1 move. Okay. Now let's see, does that work? Okay, so I will refresh. Okay, so that doesn't work either. Now, I know these work, so I don't know why they're working here. So there's something wrong, but okay, the general principle is that you can move it from one place to another, and you can rename it at the same time. All right, so this will move this guy, and it'll also rename it to names2.txt. Okay, you can also use this to give new names to things. So what will this do? This will move names.txt to this, to here. See your original. Rename file to names2.txt. Okay, not sure why it's not working. That's the principle of what happens there. Files that move, it moves it from the location it's currently in, which is names.txt, and it moves it to the original names2.txt. Okay, not 100% sure why it's not in the right place. Now you can use it to rename files. Okay, so you can use move to rename folders, files. Okay, so this will rename the folder 1, 2, 1. Okay, so this will move.txt. So it can be used to rename folders. It can be used to rename folders, or it can be used to rename a file. This is renaming a file. I will start move. So we are going to go, so I'll just copy and paste this whole thing I have here. So this is renaming a file. Names.txt, path.get names.txt2. As I say, I'm not 1000% sure why it's not renaming it, but I got this code directly from the book, and that's what's in the book. So obviously it's just something I'm simply doing wrong, but that's the principle. Okay, so you can use move to rename files. You can use move to rename folders. You can also use move to move files to a different location. You can use move to use folders to anywhere. Now, there is a couple of provisos. I think when you're moving, you can move an empty directory anywhere. Okay, you can move an empty directory anywhere. Okay, now, and can move a directory with files, directories inside it, but you can only move it within the same directory, on the same drive, sorry. i.e., if the directory is on the C drive, can't move to D drive. The directory has something. Okay, you can move a empty directory to any other drive. Okay, now the move isn't working correctly. I don't know why. Okay, and I just saw it here as well. I've done it on my other code here. It's not working on this other one here, so it's possibly something I've switched off somewhere. It did work before, so I guess but that's the principle of it. All right. Now, you don't use these much at all. All right. You don't really use Java for moving files around the place. That's not what it's for. All right. You use it to create files, but you don't use it to move files to different locations. Or you use it to overwrite files. Or you use it to write to the end of files. You don't really use it for moving files. All right. So these methods aren't really used. All right. So they're not working here, but the thing is, it doesn't matter because you don't move them. You don't use them anyway. All right. They're just there because they're in the exam. That's it. Just have to know what to do. Move can move things. You can also rename things. You can't move. You can move folders, empty folders anywhere. You can move files anywhere. If a directory has something inside it, you can't move it to a different drive, but you can move it anywhere inside the current drive. Okay. Now, next one is this one here is easy enough. Void ex7. So we have delete and delete if this. Okay. So here we go. So delete deletes our non-empty directory. Okay, if the file does not exist, it throws the IO exception. Okay, if it represents a non-empty directory. Okay, so here's the one. Delete cannot delete a directory that has files or other directories inside it. Okay. If you attempt to delete a non-empty directory, you will get the directory not empty exception. Okay. Now, so we're going to create a file inside here. All right. So we are going to create new file. I'm going to call this file delete me. Okay. Now, simple as this. So if you want to delete something, now, so delete me.txt is deleted. So we go plus, we go files dot delete, files dot delete, and the path is going to be delete delete.txt. Okay. Oops, and that should be paths.get. Sorry about that. Paths.get. And this is going to be delete txt. Okay, let me take this out. One, two, three. Has to be three. Sorry about that. That's that get 1, 2, 3 at the end. Why is that giving an error? So let's do print line. So I'm going to go files.delete. Oh, it returns void. Oops, sorry about that. So I have to go files.delete, and this is going to be paths.get. I'm going to go delete me.txt. Oh, fucking thing there. Oh, so it has to be a try catch block. Null. Catch. Exception. E. So I'll go back to here. I notice I'm not talking as much as I should. Should be talking an awful lot more. Sorry about that. So files.delete paths.get delete me.txt. Now this returns void. Okay. So all I want to see is, does it delete it? Run it. Okay. Oops. EX7. Oh my God. I think I know how EX6 was running. I'll do EX7 first. Okay. I know how EX6 wasn't running. Oh, wait to see what I did. Silly null, silly null. Okay, so EX7. So examples.ex7. Right now, so we do have a file called delete me.txt. Then I go files.delete paths delete. So I do that. Now, if I try to run the second time, I'm getting no such file exception. Why? Because it's gone. You're going to do that and refresh. Delete me.txt is gone. Okay. Now, you can accomplish the exact same thing as files.delete by going you can't use standard copy. Okay, so we won't say that. All right, so this returns void. And if you attempt to delete a file that does not exist, you will get a no file exception. Okay. And if you attempt to delete a file, you will get a file no such file exception. Okay. So that's why I commented out. Okay. Now, I am going to create another file inside here. New file, and I'm going to call this no file. Okay. Now, delete if exists. So there it is. There's no file. Now, no file. So delete. The second one is this one here. Delete if exists. Okay. This one is probably more useful than delete. Right. So this will delete something if it exists. So we go, and it returns true. This returns true. So I go file. So is no file txt. Does it exist and delete it? Does it exist and has it been deleted? So I'm going to say files.delete if exists. Now, see, there's all other methods here. See, is hidden. Okay. Okay, so you can hide certain files in Windows. Right. Now, it just means you can unhide them. As long as you're an administrator, you can unhide those files. So in Java, you can determine which files are hidden. Right. So there's all these other little things. But the one we want to use is delete if it exists. You can see it returns a Boolean. Takes a path, returns a Boolean. All right. So we want to see this is the a relative path. It is no file txt. Okay. And of course we get this. Okay, and it's paths.get. Get, and it is no file.txt. All right. So first time I run it, it's been deleted. It exists. Second time I run it, hasn't. Okay, but it doesn't generate an exception. If I refresh it here, see, it's gone. Okay, so what this does is this returns this delete this returns true if the file exists, and this returns true if the file exists and is then deleted. This will return false if the file does not exist. So this does not throw no such file exception. Okay. Now, if you attempt to delete a directory with something in it, for instance, 1. Okay. 1 is a directory, it's got 2 inside it, it's got another directory inside it called 3. Now, so I'm going to attempt to delete if exists directory 1. Okay, let me show you what happens. So we're going to get attempting to delete the non-empty directory 1. Okay, so we go here, we go files dot delete if exists, and we are going to say paths dot get, and this is going to be 1. Okay. Now, files if exists, paths get 1. Now, we run that, we get directory not empty exception. Okay, so if you attempt to delete a non-empty directory, you will get the directory not empty exception. Okay, now it doesn't matter if you use delete if exists or if I go files dot delete and the path is paths dot get 1. Okay, so if you get the same result if you attempt to use delete on a, now there is a method that can delete everything inside a directory. All right. Now, it's a bit more complicated than you think, because I can't think of the method, but we do come across it. Because what you have to do first is you have to delete. So if I don't delete 1, I can't delete 1 because it's got a directory 2 inside it. I can't delete directory 2 because it's got a directory 3 inside 2. So what you actually have to do is you have to delete that directory first, then you delete that one, then you can delete that one. Okay. Now there is, it's a method combined with another method that will do that for you. All right. You could devise a method yourself, and you could go down all the way into, so 1, 2, 3, keeps going down until it gets to the last directory, and it deletes everything from that directory. And then you could delete everything from directory 2. Then you could delete everything from directory 1. All right. What I mean by that. So you have a directory called 1, and that contains another directory called 2, and that contains another directory called 3. Now, we want to delete that guy. We can't delete that guy until we delete, but you can't have anything in it. We can't delete that directory until we delete that one. We can't delete that directory until we delete that one. So what we have to do first is the lowest level of your chain. You delete everything from directory 2. Then you delete everything inside directory 1. And then you can delete directory 1. Now there is a method that does that for you. As far as I know, I think this is in the last section of this chapter. We'll be doing it. We will get to that Wednesday before we get to it. Okay. Now it's a combination of methods. You could go down the directory 3 and delete everything from that directory, then everything from that directory. Then you can delete everything from that directory, but there is a method that does it for you. Okay. So clear all drawings. So files, delete, paths, get 1. We can't do it. All right. So if you attempt to delete on a directory that contains other files or directories. Okay, so delete if exists and delete both operate the same way if you have something inside those directories. Okay, now we've then got 2 more methods. Not this one. So Jesus. Okay, just need to pause that for a second. Okay, so the next dudes we're going to do is, if you remember back to them, it seems like a lifetime ago now, we're at these for so longer than I thought. Okay, so static void ex8. I will come back to 6. Actually, I'll come back to 6 now. All right, so if I go files, paths.get names.txt, paths get c original names.txt. So if I go ex6, I hadn't ex6 actually done, I was attempting to run ex5. So if I go here, examples.ex6. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to remove names to, I'll try to move it to 1 first. See, does this work? Okay, so I'm trying to move it to 1, and I'm going to give it a name, names2.txt. Okay, so no, it's still not working. All right, so that still doesn't work. So whoop-de-doo. I'll just try the other one, which was the original. See, does that work? So paths.get names to path c original. No such file. Okay. Okay, it did move it. Right. So let's try refreshing it. Okay, it had moved it. Yay! What?
Not enough.
Hold on, hold on. Okay, so it has been moved. Okay, so that did work. All right. So I'll even do that again. Right. So I'm going to create folder and new file inside here. I'm going to call it file. I'm going to call it names.txt. Finish. Right. So name. So so we have names2.txt. Now we want to move names.txt into one. Okay. Actually, I'm going to rename that. So I'm going to rename it resource refactor. So I'm going to call it places. Okay. So plses.txt. And we're going to move it to the folder 1. Okay. So I am going to attempt to run this again. File already exists. Okay. So let me just say resource refactor. Sorry, refresh. 1 places.txt. Okay. Now we refresh that. So I'm going to give refresh. And there it is. Okay, so you have to give it a name. So that will move it from, so this will move places.txt to 1 places.txt. Okay, if you run it a second time, so I will take it out of there and put it into here. Okay, so this will move places to 1 places to 1 folder and rename it to place2.txt. Okay, so if I run it again, it's going to work fine. Okay, in order to see the changes, you have to click on refresh here, and we can see it's inside the 1 folder. If I attempt to run that again, can't move a file that doesn't exist. Okay, run it a second time, you will get no such file exception, as places.txt is no longer located in our application directory. Okay, now so I'm going to comment out that guy. So I'm going to get the paths 1, and I'm going to try and rename it to 1 move. Okay, so let me just see. All right, now if I refresh this, have a look at 1 here. It's now called 1 move. Okay, now similarly, folder was originally called 1. This will rename folder to 1 move. It does not matter if there is any folders or our files inside this folder. Okay. Run it a second time. Okay. Run this a second time. You will get no such file exception. No such file exception. Okay. Now, for renaming a file, you can also use move as well. So I go to new. Oops, sorry, don't want that. So new file. I'm going to go names.txt, save it, finish, get rid of that. There it is. So if I want to rename it, okay, so save that, do that, refresh here. There it is. Okay, this is renaming a file. All right, run it a second time, we get the same error. All right, so you can move. So all it's basically doing, it's moving the file, and you also have to give it the same name. You have to give it a name. Okay, so when you're moving a file, as well as saying where you're going to move it to, you have to give it a name. All right, so the name of the file could be a particular name, and you could just put in